In the children's justice system, crimes against property of John Avery Whitaker are considered especially heinous. In Odyssey, the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious misdemeanors are members of an elite squad known as the Odyssey Special Victims Unit. These are their stories.
Welcome to Talking to Tomatoes, the podcast where we talk about the children's Christian media that we grew up with, not only for the quality, but for the pernicious propaganda behind it. I am one of your hosts, Eric Eberly.
And I'm Jubilee Alexander, and I'm really glad your beard is big.
Oh yeah, it's been a couple weeks at this point, so yeah, we're
Yeah.
definitely
A
past
few,
the doldrums of oh god.
well,
Um,
it was very disturbing too. I would occasionally, not really, but occasionally just be like, "Oh wait, no, I'm this one. You're this one." Uh, anyway,
oh, I look
yeah.
terrible, and you're looking at
Oh,
me.
oh God, what's wrong with my skin? What's wrong with the?
Yeah, so we're back. God, I'm gonna have to re up my library checkout of that Kidsborough novel
Oh no.
series. Because we've taken too much time. Because dear God, I can't stand those books.
Per your recommendation, you discovered that there was a book of like Connie talking to girls about growing up, which is clearly a book about puberty or something like that. And I don't know where I special ordered that from somewhere, and I have not seen it,
A
so
library
I'm
book,
gonna
or
have
you
to.
bought it?
No, no, I bought it off of a. There's like second hand stores, so you're definitely they're not getting any of the money.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Okay.
and it was like
So
the first book was like $6. The next one was like 31 and the next one was 45. So when that book shows up, we will only be doing the first one.
yeah. So what's been making you happy this week? Before we get into the
Um,
before we get in,
yeah.
we started this last episode. We're doing a new thing where so it's not just all negative stuff. What's been making you happy these last couple weeks?
I am a school bus driver, as you know, and some of our listeners might, but I tend to generally be on the same, like, I'm basically a form of substitute, so I tend to bounce around, but because I'm fairly high in seniority and my bosses know that that is annoying, they tend to put me on like the longer term substitutes. So I'll generally do the same route for like 2 or 3 months. And last Wednesday I switched up to the new one. They were like, "Oh, by the way, starting on Wednesday, you're going to be doing Oop, I almost gave the route number and I don't think that's legal. So, you're going to be on this
Oh
new one." I'm
yeah,
like, "Oh, cool." And I goes, it's a little bittersweet because, you develop relationships with the kids and you get used to it. But this new route is so chaotic but so fun. And my one of my partners speaks very fluent Spanish and has been teaching me a little bit. And this route is a dual language, so the kids only speak. Most of the kids here only speak Spanish. So one kid walked on, like literally on Valentine's Day, the kid walked onto the bus and is like just jabbering about his Valentine's Day stuff, and I look into his back and I go, "Dulces para mí," which is candy for me, and he's like, and and he laughs and like he's like he gets that it's a joke and he laughs and like keeps playing keep away, and then he goes in Spanish. He goes, "Wait, do you speak Spanish?" And I'm like, "Oh, un poquito, just a little." And then he says in English, "Yes, let's go." So I've been having a delightful time with the few phrases of Spanish I know. It's just been very fun
that's
to
awesome.
kind of flex these language muscles that I do not use very often because
Right, you're not in Japan anymore.
well,
Um,
that the annoying thing is in the few instances where I do get to speak another language, the moment I don't have the word, my brain fills it in with Japanese, which gets very confusing. I'm like, hasta ashita? I'm like, wait, no, hasta mañana, uh, mi tomodachi? No, that's not right.
that's I had a slightly similar thing when I first my kids first started doing Spanish immersion thing, and I started doing that, having the exact same problem of doing like back when Duolingo wasn't AI slop, to having the same problem. But
You're
yeah,
like, I know the colors in Spanish, and then you're like, Midori, no, verde.
no, Verde. um, for me this week, I'm kind of sort of happy for my crafting stuff because I got to help my child with a science project that I actually have in my in range right here. It's sorry podcast listeners, this is a visual thing, but it's a geothermal power plant. And again, sorry podcast listeners, but right up here
Whoa,
at the
it's
top,
generating actual electricity. Oh, that's
I
actually really
mean, it's
cool.
literally an electric motor from a hand mixer, so with a fan on it. I don't really know what the fan is about, but you know it has the turbine and the the
The
steam
fan's
goes into
probably
the
to cool
turbine.
it down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, probably.
Wait,
But
no, it's a
yeah, it's just
hairdryer. It literally blows the air.
but yeah, it's kind of nice to be able to sort of use my stuff other than making crazy Dungeons and Dragons stuff. So it's sort of
Your hobbies are useful.
finally they're useful. Speaking of useless hobbies, let's talk about Adventures in Odyssey.
Let's talk about the Adventures in Odyssey's writer's obsession with courtroom and political drama.
Yes, so we're back in Odyssey, of Adventures in Odyssey, radio program by Focus on the Family with episode 467, Broken Window. It originally aired in 2001. I was a little hesitant with this one because it felt a little too Kidsborough-y. Because I mean, the basic setup is a window at Wit's End has been broken, and they need to figure out who did it. So they have they decide Wit decides to hold like a court sort of a thing, which continuing my feeling of like, why does the Mr. Whitaker get to decide? Like, call the cops if this is really that big of an issue. But so we have, what's his name, Alex and Rodney. Alex is like a good kid, and Rodney Rathbone, I'm pretty
With
sure.
Rodney Rathbone, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they said his last name, or if they did, they only said it one time. But it was like, oh, we know Rodney.
Was the kid in the animated thing that we watched for Christmas? Was that Rodney?
I'm almost sure it wasn't.
Okay.
I'm not
I feel like
positive, but
we would have made that connection. I feel if if it had come up.
the only
But
reason we
anyway,
might not have, it doesn't matter.
I mean they're whatever that character was in Rodney Rathbone fill the same role. They are the bad
Exactly.
kid. To the point that he literally talks about going to jail later in the episode, which I was just like, surely he means juvie, but like these are children.
Well,
But
that was also it was fairly he was hamming it up. I mean, I felt like the character did not realize he was hamming it up, but he was like, ah, gee, I don't want to go to jail. And I was like, you're not gonna go to
oh,
jail.
maybe I just maybe the show just
He
isn't
talked
very
about
good.
an uncle being in prison too, which I thought was a funny joke, where he's like, I can't find a lawyer that quick. Uncle Vinny doesn't get. He might have even. Did he say Uncle Vinny?
I don't think so because I feel like that's something
Okay.
that I would have. I
I
just in
would.
the last like year watched My Cousin
Oh,
Vinny,
sure.
and I was like that would have been really funny. But yeah, so someone has broken a window, and it's sort of it takes a few minutes for that to be the details of that to be coming out because it opens with this, and because the little podcast beforehand talks about it like it's going to be like a courtroom drama sort of thing. It opens with Sarah finding Alex hiding in the bushes behind Wit's End, and I'm like, oh boy, this is this is this is going to be the Focus on the Family equivalent of when they find the dead body before the opening credits, but it's going to be the broken window or the
Ba-da-dum-bum-bum.
boom 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 boom.
That's a dead body.
Oh God, Rodney killed someone.
Imagine a Law and Order zoom in on the you know how the body or the person playing the dead body always gets like the one facial close up,
Yeah.
but instead of the dun 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 dun, it's bum 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 ba dum bum bum. Welcome to Adventures in Odyssey.
Oh
Like
my
we just
God, is
saw
that
a
a
dead
dead
body.
body?
God, we just saw a dead body. Or
The
Chris,
kids,
not Connie.
the kids are like, Stand and Deliver made it seem like it was going to be so much fun.
I thought this was part of growing up. I killed someone so we could have this moment, this pivotal moment of growing.
Yeah, that's Whitaker's dark secret. Is every 10 years or so he kills somebody and exposes a bunch of children to it so they can have their catharsis.
What
And
the
then uses
hell,
his
John?
what the hell? Wit, you gotta cut this out. Anyway, so this a whole. Oh, what are you doing back here? It's a very foreshadowy sort of episode about what's going to happen, and then some people are like, oh, I saw Rodney, the who got thrown out of Wit's End for some reasons, running across the street laughing with a kid. But then they're like, oh, well, he was playing baseball out front. And it becomes like a he said, she said, and Wit's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I know what to do. Let's have court. So they're setting it up in this weird, like, I felt like they couldn't decide if they wanted this to be like an like to me, I feel like this would have been better served as a like I'm hiring you all to be private investigators to figure this out, because really it's an investigation. Because first
Well, and
off,
most of the people that are defending themselves.
you have
Interrogation
two
feels like too strong of a
suspects.
word.
Like again, like it's a first because part of it was like, oh, okay, they're gonna do this to like teach about the legal process or whatever, or have some sort of message in the end about which I mean, it's kind of where they end up in a very like constitutional way, to be like to at the end they're like, hey, innocent until proven guilty. That phrase never comes up. It's just everybody's assuming they knew what already happened without having all the facts. So they set this up and decide that Connie is going to be the judge, and then the two suspects are, there's not really a prosecutor and a defendant, because they're both defendants basically trying to prove. They're actually kind of both roles, because they're both suspected
Choosing the
of
other
doing
one
it.
of doing it. Yeah. Well, and then by the end they pull in a third person.
Yeah, very very confusing. Then there's a weird little side story that I was so much more interested in than a shitty legal drama.
It's the Criminal Minds thing where there is 45 seconds of personal, like interpersonal character growth that happen, or like that gets set up at the very beginning. Usually doesn't get referenced throughout the whole episode, and then they touch back in because
Yeah, yes.
it's what would be a B plot if this was even 35 minutes long, but it's like 20 minutes long. So,
They don't have time for an
which
actual B plot, but the B plot, such as it is that Connie has been rescheduled on twice and then stood up on a date with the same person. So three strikes, and she's pit now, and she's remarkably not unsurprisingly upset about this has happened.
he shows up and gets immediately conscripted to be the bailiff. So he did not, like, they don't have time to talk. Like, she's complaining to Wit,
Yeah.
which, yeah, tell the old man about your relationship problems. I'm sure he'll have a lot of good advice for you, young girl.
I do have to say that scene did have a legitimate, not at all kidding here, a knee slapper of a joke where Wit and Connie are having this conversation, and then the little kids that are around come up and like, ooh, date Connie and Martin sitting in a tree. KIS, and she goes, no, we're just talking. Connie and Martin sitting in a tree. TALKI.
That was pretty funny. And also, like, wholesome, honestly. Like, a wholesome,
Yeah.
sweet joke. You're like, well, we know we're going to make fun of you about this a little bit.
yeah. I enjoyed that part. I texted you about that. I was like, okay, I think we got something. This isn't just gonna be one of those ones where we get to the end and go, that was weird. I mean, I'm sure we'll say that, but so the courtroom drama proceeds. Nobody knows what they're doing, and
Most of the jokes are basically no one knows what they're doing. Several very clever little turns of phrase, like I think at one point, like people are getting the words wrong, but in ways that you wouldn't get wrong if you didn't actually know what it was. So like I appreciate the nod towards a better joke rather than the kid. Like if the kids were just mispronouncing the words all the time, that would get old. But at one point, a kid is supposed to say like the defense rests, and he goes, "The defense is sleepy," and
yeah,
you're like, honestly,
my case is sleepy or
cute.
something like that. I'm
My
like,
case
okay,
is
yeah, I get
sleepy.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, very, ha ha ha. Mom and dad laughing. The kids go, what? I don't know. We'll tell you after
yeah.
the episode.
Someone is literally cross-examining themselves. It's just a lot of legwork to get to. I mean, the only evidence is, oh, the glass is broken into round pieces, not sharp ones, which I don't think actually proves anything.
I mean, unless the ball was traveling at like 90 miles an hour, it's not gonna punch a round hole through the glass.
Yeah,
So
they meant all of those shards of glass were, but then again, they were like, "Whoa, we saw all of them," and it was like, but they were all on the inside. No, they were all on the
they were.
outside.
I mean, that's a thing that shows up at the end where someone was like, "Well, Connie, the judge, during the recess to decide everyone's innocence or guilt, goes and does her own investigation, and then surprise, has a thoughts about the where the glass was located, which I still don't
Again,
think
is not
actually
how
matters. Like
it doesn't
glass can
matter
go
how
in lots
much.
of places. Like it's a chaotic breaking of shattering of glass. The glass can be inside, it can be outside. So
Well, no, the thing at the end, sorry, spoiler alert, but that in the end, it's that Wit had broken the window with his broom handle on accident. And I'm like, again, I feel like you would have kind of broken the glass and it would have fallen everywhere, not in one spot, no matter,
we didn't.
unless you're doing
He
like,
didn't grab the soda machine and goes, "This thing isn't working," and throws it out the window. I don't really know if there's anything to talk about the like cases themselves. There's a
not
few.
really. I mean, it's
You know,
not
the,
very rooted in morality.
I have to say, I really thought they were going to do something when. So there's one funny thing, sort of that happens in there where the bad kid Rodney calls a character witness, and he calls the guy who is the bailiff, who is the guy who's trying to take Connie out on a date, and pulls him up. And like the funny thing about the character witness is, it's not he's trying to show that he's a good guy. He's trying to show that he's like an honest bad guy, which I thought was sort of a clever change of it, because he's like, have we met before? And he's like, yeah, you worked at this, like you had a part-time job at this place where I worked at, and you got in trouble because you were like you're doing all this bad stuff, and you got in trouble for it. And he's like, yes, but I admitted it, didn't I? And he's like, yeah. He's like, so if I had done this, wouldn't I have I've been caught? I would admit it, wouldn't? And then they're like, I guess. And he's like, no further questions. I thought it was funny. I was so disappointed that Connie having him on the stand didn't like that feels like the time where she should be asking him questions. You
Like
know,
call him out to the stand and be like, I mean, they could have even
where were
genuinely
you
made it
last
cute at the
where
end.
were you last night when you stood me up on the date? And then she's just, because it's sort of sitcom misunderstanding
And he's
thing.
like, he's trying to explain. He goes, answer the question. Yeah, no, that would have been cute.
No, that's all, you may step down. And then she like continues to get mad, and then of course by the end he explains it. What a misunderstanding. Sort of something. I'm like, that would have been great if we could have taken an extra 30 seconds to deepen the B plot to a third a chunk of dialogue. But yeah, so the whole what you do and don't know, Rodney has sort of the motive of being mad at Whit and wanting revenge. The Alex, the kid with the baseball, was seen playing baseball before the window was broken, and then the window got broken at some point, and he was hiding the bat. And then somebody else, in the course of the surprise twist, is somebody references a third child, Sarah, who was juggling out in front. And, then in her closing statements, so we have 3 sets of closing statements, she's like, I'm going to prove. It's very, I don't know, it feels very a Leslie Nelson kind of joke, where she's like, nothing, this little juggling ball couldn't hurt anything. And she throws it at a pitcher and it shatters. Just like, yeah, that's a good job. They sort of get to the end, and then like I said, Connie the judge goes out and does her own investigation off screen, off mic.
They also came so close to making the last time there was a trial. The way I want them to be like, court will now recess, and I want the like cartoonish kid sounds of yay.
I mean,
But
they did a little bit.
someone just references like, oh, we're gonna go outside and play with kickballs or whatever, and she's like, no, just be right back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he came so close.
Come on, lean into the joke. This is a children's show for kids.
But yeah, the end of it is just, oh, she does a very long dramatic. You are not guilty, and you are not guilty, and you, and it's like drum roll because oh, this must be the guilty person, are also not guilty. And then she
And she's like,
declares,
the fourth person who no evidence has been proved, showed against, and no investigation, and had no statements and no say. I mean, I suppose this is kind of the world that John Avery Whitaker wants to build.
John Avery Whitaker political project. I mean, we say it like it's not there.
Like it's not
Like it's
actually what
not
was
true.
happening. But yeah, and then I think we've said something about this before, where it's like, I feel like no one thing that involves wit is like that, because you actually, before we got started recording, Jubilee was saying, how, I kind of thought it was sort of like a neat way of like making this point, and I was like, yeah, I kind
Yeah,
of think it's. I think it's more the weird dude who all the kids look up to is gonna just like have this kangaroo court situation, and just whatever happens, rather than actually teach like how the legal system is supposed to work in any way that anyone could possibly
I
use.
think what to clarify what I meant, although I didn't say it properly, was guess what I more meant was that I would have expected Whitaker to stand there and hold court. And then the funny thing would be one kid would be the lawyer for each person, and the other kids would like have to, that would be interesting. And the fact that he didn't, that he just sat back and let them figure it out. But again, it was like they kind of clearly wanted it to be an investigation because it turned out that Whit was the one who broke the window, and I guess it was obvious that he broke the window, but he just didn't really say
Yeah, I
anything.
mean, the sort of kind of the message of the thing was that everybody had basically decided that they knew who had done it, which they hadn't, because nobody knew that the one girl had been juggling out in front. Like there was literally just the one bad kid, and then somebody was like, "Hey, weren't you hiding under the?"
And he was the only one who accused the bad kid. Rodney was the only kid who accused Alex of all being the one who actually broke the window. But like, did the other girl get suspicious when she was like, "Oh, she's high"?
I
Like,
mean,
it was more like she was acting suspicious when she first met him before, like at the very, very beginning of the episode. Where he's like, "Why are you, like, what are you doing back here?" And he's like, "I was hitting a baseball." Like, or it was like nothing. It's like, "Why do you have a baseball bat?" No reason. Why are you sitting on it? Like, you're being very suspicious, even though
yeah,
nothing had been.
so it's like the whole thing was like everybody's presuming to know what's wrong. It's like, I feel like the message is more like everybody just assumed the bad kid always did the bad things, which, you know, is a very human thing to do, but it's not a it's not a good like legal like like approach to things because I wanted, yeah, like there needed to be more like everyone, and I mean I guess they sort of ham-fisted at the end was like the B plot spoiler was that Connie misunderstood when the date was, and the date is tonight, not last night. And so she was not being stood up. She just went to a restaurant by herself and was assuming it. And so it's
She
like,
wasn't
okay,
stood
so
up. She was just being a stupid woman.
yeah, there's a little
Which
bit of, I get
I
that.
know how stupid you find women, but
Stop. We're
no,
not going to be
that's
one of
me.
those podcasts where you
No, it's not. Yeah.
where you try to get me canceled. Um.
Cancel my co-host. No, that's just me. And you think that because I am stupid and because you've known me for more my entire life.
Yeah. The I didn't like is I wanted more of that story, which again I guess we're asking a lot about a you know relationship drama about it from a kids show like that.
Well, shall we try to connect it to that? Shall I use my Adventures in Odyssey Bible
Does
to
that
try
have
to
any?
figure out?
Well, you
Well,
can use that. You can use
the
that,
verse
and
was
I.
Proverbs 11, verse 12. A person without good sense finds fault in his neighbor, but a person with understanding keeps quiet, which is a weird way to put it since no one kept quiet about anything, and someone was actually at fault. So I'm like, I understand what the verse means, but what does that have to do? Like, do they literally just write these bullshit stories and then like reference be like? I mean, they probably pull out the
I mean
oh shit, what's it called?
the concordance.
Concordance. That's the word. A concordance and be like, let's look up a thing about finding fault with your neighbor, and it's like, no, that means like nitpicking or like looking for a problem, not voicing your concern when a crime has been committed, which is what the framing of the episode was. So
Yeah,
what
will
are we
you
doing
please
here?
tell us where you were on that night? Sorry, I'm a wise man, so I'm going to be silent for this.
Okay, so something that we tend to run into a lot, and like I was saying, where if the episode does a good job of propagandizing, we don't like it. And if it does a bad job of propagandizing, we also don't like it. How do you think this episode would do a better job? And I think I defer to you a lot as the person who is actually a parent. Of how do you think this episode could have gone really well to teach something? Because like it's trying to do too much and it does it all badly. So what do you think a better
Right.
version of this episode to
Um
teach a moral lesson without relying too much on the Bible or your shitty legal drama?
sure. Yeah. I mean, what I think this should have been is this should have been a more about presumed innocence or make it, to I mean that's even maybe too heady for little kids, but just assuming bad things about people. Like there's part of me that's like as like a message, like a message based in like I don't know, vaguely Christian ideals and stuff. It would be, hey, like we all make mistakes. That doesn't mean like we should like focus on it. But I think the better moral lesson is just not presuming something bad about someone. I think this shouldn't have been about the case itself. I think it should have been more of a 12 angry men 12 angry children style sort of a
12
thing
Angry
where
Children.
so
That's the name of the episode, by the way.
12 angry children. There we
12
go.
Angry Children.
Okay, thank God, because it's always 11 o'clock
No,
when I'm
you
editing.
always you always text me late at night to be like, "Oh God, quick!" Or I always see like five texts asking for help with the name of the episode, and I go, "Oh fuck, yeah, man, so that's cool." 12 Angry Children.
12
Okay,
angry children. There we
give
go.
us the plot of 12 Angry Children.
So Rodney, has motive. That he's the bad kid. There's evidence that's given, and then they all go, well, it looks pretty cut and dry, but let's defer. This is teaching how the legal system works a little bit. Now it's time for the jury to go and deliberate, and most of the episode is that deliberation of them talking and being like, well, I mean, ultimately it comes down to a bunch to at least some number of the kids going, I mean, it was probably Rodney. I mean, sure, no one actually saw him, but we saw him walking away after it was broken, and he yelled at Whitaker the day before and got kicked out of Wit's End. But then somebody goes, wait a second, but we didn't actually see them. And I mean, maybe this is putting too much on them, but I almost can't believe that they didn't do something like this. But then the tricky part about me goes, maybe they don't want to defer to temporal authority too much, because if that is the way,
Interesting.
then
Yeah.
they could you know someone could sue Focus on the Family, um, or something, because then you have somebody going, hey, just because Rodney has done bad things in the past doesn't, you know, just because he's, I mean, because my sort of impression of him is a little skewed, because there was a whole section in this where he's talking about having gone to jail, and we were sort of unsure, because we don't listen to these as well as we probably should, whether or not he was serious or he was just being like melodramatic, like, oh, I'll go to jail again, I can't go back, was he like doing a bit of like, I can't go back to jail or something, of someone being like, look, just because he's like mean doesn't mean he is a criminal, kind of a thing. And then the sort of lesson you learn there is assuming bad things about people, because I
Oh, and
mean,
then Whitaker can be his overbearing self and being like, "That's a good point. Do you think?" I mean, he could even be. There's so many opportunities for Whitaker to be a more gentle guiding hand, because a lot of times I feel like he spins the top and then he pieces out till the end of the episode. But like he could be like, "That's a good point. Do you think you have the evidence to convict him?" And again, maybe it's getting a little too legal drama, but and then he could say, that's correct. Like you made the correct decision. Even like people could even maybe be a little disappointed that Rodney didn't get in trouble or that they don't know. And Wick can be like, that's because I know who did it. It was me. And they're going, Mr. Whitaker.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That I,
I
I
think that
think
would
that
be a
would be a
much
more.
better lesson. A much
Now, I actually think I'm on to something about them being afraid to defer to, like the actual legal system a little ways, because
yeah,
that
no, that
that
that's
take I
making
mean,
a ton of sense.
are we thinking too much about this? Probably. We certainly are thinking about it more than the writers of this did. But um, yeah, as it always is. This one was kind of weird. I was generally disappointed in it, because I thought it actually started out pretty strong, and like kind of moved through its ideas and set things up in a way that didn't feel like nothing in the first like 6 or 7 minutes felt like it came out of nowhere. I was like, okay, yes, they
Yeah.
go to Wit's End. There's a broken window. Oh, someone might have done it. Okay, we're having a. It's a little wild that Wit's setting up a court, but like this all made sense. And then it was just kind of like, we run around in the courtroom for 15 minutes, and then Wit goes, surprise, it was me. I did, I do have to say, another thing I'll say that's good about the episode was, the music took a little odd turn in it when it became like there was like a mysterious kind of. I think it happened somewhere at the beginning, but then it came back at the end. This little motif that was very accusing parlor of everything, when
Interesting.
Whitaker revealed himself as the ultimate culprit, and I was like, oh, there that is. There's that funny little music, but yeah. Next time, what do we want to do? Do you want to do the Connie book?
If I can find it, we could do the Connie. Otherwise, I think we should just do an episode of the regular thing. Sorry, I'm googling I'm gonna do the SVU thing, but in Connie's voice.
Oh,
Just
sure,
like
sure,
crimes
sure.
against wit and are particularly, as we all know, property crimes against old men.
We can
But
do
yeah,
we
we
can
can
do
if the book is here, if it might be tucked away in something somewhere. But it also might just sometimes these things take a little while to get here. Otherwise, we'll just do a regular episode.
Okay. In the meantime, you can follow us on our various socials. The podcast itself is available on YouTube for now, Talking to Tomatoes. We also have a TikTok, talking to Tomato. Ugh. And our
Talking, they
individual
beat us. They beat us to talking to tomatoes. Unthinkable.
and the our individual TikToks as well. I am Eric.Eberly.
And you can also find me at Titan of Joy, and I'm Jubilee. You can find me by searching up Jubilee, and if you get to someone who is glazing fascist, that's not me. So that's the
Believe it or
media
not.
conglomerate, Jubilee.
All right. Talk to you later, tomatoes.
In the children's justice system, crimes against property of John Avery Whitaker are considered especially heinous. The new In Odyssey, the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious misdemeanors are members of an elite squad known as the Odyssey Special Victims Unit. These are their stories. Rest in piss, Dr. Dobson. I almost said Wilson again. I was having to edit some of those on the fly.
All right, this is the crossover to Kidsborough.